Hello guys, it's Stock Trader Max here and welcome to another video. Tomorrow is PayPal's Q1 2024 earnings report, so I thought I would quickly squeeze in one more video ahead of that earnings report. In today's video, we're going to talk about what I'm looking for in tomorrow's earnings report, as well as what I expect the stock to do in the coming days and weeks ahead. Now, before I get into the fundamentals of PayPal, I just really want to quickly give you all a recap on the technical chart that we have in front of us here. As you can see, we have a stock that has gone parabolic towards the upside in the year of 2020 through to the end of 2021, and then from pretty much the end of 2021 through till now, it has just plummeted, and we are currently in a drawdown of over 80%. But I think the stock is undervalued, as you may have heard me explain in previous videos. But I just want to really do a quick 1 or 2 minute recap on the technicals of this chart. You know, we have a stock from the lows that we formed back in 2020 when COVID first hit and we all first went into lockdown. It traded down to $85 a share. And then, of course, we saw a significant amount of buying, which took it to an all-time high of $310 a share. From there, as I just mentioned, we've seen an 80% correction where we've plummeted from $310 a share, where we currently find ourselves trading right now at $66. I feel like the stock market does tend to overreact, both towards the upside and both towards the downside. And what we've seen here, we've seen a market that has probably overreacted towards the upside. In my previous YouTube video, I explained why we saw this parabolic move towards the upside. We've then actually gone into an era where we've actually over-exaggerated towards the downside. That's my own humble opinion. Sure, are there some fundamental and technical reasons as to why we should be trading lower than $310 a share? Absolutely. You know, previously, past couple of years, there's been a CEO at PayPal who's been asleep at the wheel. There's also been rivals such as Apple Pay and Google Pay that have caught up and started to eat some of PayPal's lunch. But that being said, we have a company that's trading at 2017 prices. And if we just look at revenue and net income from 2017 until now, this company has actually seen its revenue and net income grow by over 136% since then. So why does it continue to trade at 2017 prices? Now, my guess is that it's not going to stay this low for long. And as I just mentioned, we have Q1 2024 earnings in 24 hours time. And I feel like this could potentially be the start of a catalyst that could send this stock back above $100 a share, where it belongs. If we just quickly look at the trend that PayPal was trading in prior to COVID, you know, we were trading in a very nice steady uptrend. You know, if we put a trend line even and a trend line towards the downside, you know, we were trading in this nice trend. Of course, we had a series of highs, we had a series of lows over those 2 or 3 year period. But, you know, if we continue to kind of trade in that trend line, PayPal right now would be trading anywhere between, let's say, $197 a share all the way up to $225. And as I mentioned at the start of today's video, you know, we've seen a period where the market has over-exaggerated towards the upside, and now, in my opinion, we are now in an era where this stock is now actually over-exaggerating towards the downside. And I do feel that over the upcoming months and quarters ahead, we are going to play catch up and try and return back within this nice uptrend, because it's very important to remember with this company is that their business trajectory is continuing to trend higher, meaning that, you know, their business is actually growing, and many investors are treating it as if the company's dead, and that's just simply not the case. So I'm really looking forward to PayPal's earnings in 24 hours time, because some of its rivals such as Visa, they reported a few days ago and they saw a big profit jump in their business. And here's a comment that I found from Visa CEO saying that consumer spending is showing stability and is also showing signs of being resilient. And that's fantastic news, especially for a company like PayPal. We've heard from American Express as well. That company's thriving, but of course American Express caters for the high-end consumer, where PayPal obviously provides its services to a very broad spectrum of consumers. But, you know, this is very encouraging news that a company like Visa is seeing its profits jump higher, and the CEO is coming out saying, look, we're not really seeing much weakness. You know, talking about a recession, here's a thing on Goldman Sachs. They've now lowered their recession forecast to 15% now for the month of September. So this is very encouraging. 6 months out, there's a 15% chance of a recession. So this is very favorable for a company like PayPal. So I do expect PayPal to report some very strong figures as they move into their earnings tomorrow. If we just quickly look, one chart that I will be keeping a very close eye on is payment transaction value. So total payment transaction value. When I look at data like this, I like to think of it as a company or as a stock, if that makes sense. And we've seen the total payment transaction volume here trend very nicely towards the upside for the past decade or so. So I like to look at this data and think, if this was a stock chart, if this was a company, would I buy here? And the answer is yes. We're trading in a very nice uptrend. There's no real signs of much weakness here, and we continue to see PayPal total transaction volume continue to rise. So I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on that when we hear the numbers from PayPal. Have they still seen an increase? And I do think that we are going to see a continuation of an increase, and that's because inflation, right? The price of goods and services continues to go higher. That means there's a very large likelihood that providing that the consumer stays strong and continues to spend money, then we're going to see an increase in transaction volume. And then finally, one of the other numbers that I'm really going to be keeping a very close eye on. Now, this is slightly towards the negative side, and if I just move myself down here is the number of daily active users on PayPal. And this is one chart that does give a lot of existing PayPal shareholders goosebumps down the back of their spine, and that's because we have actually seen a slight decrease in daily active users. Now, if we could see an increase in daily active users here for PayPal, that would be a huge bullish catalyst, in my opinion, that would send the stock significantly higher, because this is the one negative catalyst that many sellers of PayPal stock have kind of been clinging on to. So if we did see this actually change course and we saw an increase in daily active users, and I know Alex Chriss, the new CEO of PayPal, has brought out new features to try and bring in new daily active users, then we will likely see this number increase. And when we do see that number increase, that will be a very bullish catalyst for the stock indeed. And I feel like I just also want to make it clear that the reason that we actually have seen a decrease as well in daily active users is because PayPal basically come out and they did delete several of their dead accounts, accounts that hadn't really been used for the past couple of years. So it's not just the daily active users we've seen a decline, it's also PayPal accounts. So that did ring some alarm bells when we saw a graph of PayPal users declining, but PayPal did actually come out and say, look, we've just gone and deleted several accounts that haven't been used for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And then one other thing that I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on is buybacks. Now, we all know in the past quarter, we heard from Jamie Miller, the CFO of PayPal, that they've been authorized to buy back around $10.7 billion of PayPal stock, which represents just shy of 17% of the overall company. That was back then, of course, during the last quarter. And I feel like there's been evidence within the stock price of PayPal buying back some of their stocks. And when we look at Q1 buybacks, they're pretty aggressive. They start the year on a very aggressive note. So in 2022 in March, we saw $1.5 billion declared in buybacks from PayPal. If we look back last year, $1.43 billion. So it tends to be around this $1.5 billion mark. But I really wouldn't be surprised if PayPal has bought back over maybe $2 billion in this past quarter. But one thing that you should all keep a very close eye on is the guidance. Of course, we all know back in February when PayPal last reported their earnings, Alex Chriss come out, Jamie Miller, and they basically sandbagged the guidance. They didn't include any of the potential growth that would come from their 6 new features that they've slowly been releasing over the past quarter. And many investors saw that as sandbagged the guidance, but I thought it was actually very smart. If you're a new CEO at a new company, I do believe it's something you should do. Eliminate all expectations, and then that's when you can really get to work. And if that sets up good opportunity to beat expectations along the way, then it's likely going to result in a higher stock price, and it will just make you look a lot better on paper. But I think it is very important to understand how much funds PayPal will still have left to buy back some of their shares, because I don't feel like Alex Chriss is going to come out and sandbag the guidance again to the same extent that they did back in February. But if they've still got, let's say $8.5-9 billion, and they didn't in fact go and buy what I expect to be $2 billion this past quarter, and they've still got a lot of money to put to work, then you might potentially see slightly sandbagged guidance going forward for the upcoming quarter. So that's definitely something to keep a very close eye on. But I do expect CEO Alex Chriss to come out tomorrow and give modestly upbeat guidance, raising the bar ever so slightly. I don't think he's going to come out all guns blazing, yes, we're going to earn so much more. It's just not going to happen, especially if a stock still has roughly $8 to $7 billion worth of capital, where they can still go and allocate those funds to buying back their own company. They're going to probably modestly raise it. So these are a few things that I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on when PayPal report earnings tomorrow. Has daily active users increased or continued to decrease? I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on the total transaction volume, and of course any commentary with regards to their guidance and buybacks. I think that's very important as well. But again guys, let's just quickly end today's video with this chart. This is the weekly chart of PayPal. One thing that I actually did want to quickly show you, if I just take you back into the daily chart, obviously this is the weekly. We have some pockets of volatility here. We're currently trading at $66 a share, and there's kind of a bit of a liquidity gap here, which pretty much runs from 68 above all the way up to 73. So right now the implied volatility for PayPal is 9.1%. That data was provided by TipRanks. So if we just quickly go to the options, as you can see, the expected earnings move is 9.1% for PayPal. And if we just quickly look on the chart in terms of a percentage perspective from today's prices, I know that there's still today's session left, but a 9.1% gain from current prices takes you up to around $72 a share, where a 9.1% fall from here takes you to around $60 a share. So it's either going to be $72 or $60. That's what the option market is telling us. And if we do go higher, then I expect to see the stock price trade up towards at least $73 to close this liquidity gap. So it's going to be very interesting indeed to see what happens. But ultimately guys, we have a stock that's trading at 2017 prices. Its business has grown by 140% roughly since then, and I do believe fair value is north of $100 a share for this business. So very excited for tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow we get the result that we're looking for and we see PayPal trade up towards $73 a share this week. Thank you very much for tuning in for today's video. I will be posting another video. It will either be tomorrow afternoon or Wednesday, and that's where I'll be going through the PayPal numbers and sharing my thoughts with you all. But thank you very much for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, then please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again shortly.